We're kicking off today with UFC, as the company hosted UFC 298 last weekend, which saw several WWE superstars in the crowd, including Bianca Belair, Montez Ford, and CM Punk. Punk's nameplate described him as a retired welterweight, and he was seen with his arm brace, and the best in the world seemingly had a great time watching his fellow TKO stars compete. Whether in WWE or UFC, CM Punk has always been an outspoken personality, and like everyone else, he has his own take on The Rock's return to wrestling. Fans will remember that it was The Rock who ended Punk's 434-day reign as WWE Champion at the 2013 Royal Rumble and defended the gold against Punk at that year's Elimination Chamber. Speaking to TNT Sports, Punk was asked about The Rock's comeback and made it clear he thinks it's great for WWE as a whole. He said, "I think it's fantastic. 10 years ago, I was the guy that was wrestling The Rock when he came back, and now 10 years later he's coming back, and I think that the landscape has completely changed, right? WrestleMania is 2 nights now, it's even bigger. Him coming back only helps. I always say high tide raises all ships, so I'm just happy that even though I'm hurt, I'm still gonna be kinda in the mix." He added that while his triceps is torn, his mouth still works, so he can still trash talk The Rock during his recovery, and mentioned the WrestleMania 40 kickoff press conference. He said, "My mouth still works, so I'm going to be able to talk some trash. I don't know if you saw the kickoff we did in Vegas with Rock and Roman and Seth and Cody. It was a lot of fun, and I hope to just continue to do that while I'm recuperating, because I can always just talk trash with the best of you. We love that part of it as well. It's the best part. It's what I do." Punk won't be wrestling anytime soon, but is expected to have quite the role in the run-up to WrestleMania 40, so expect plenty of trash talk from the former AEW World Champion. Trash talk or not, the fact remains that CM Punk won't be wrestling at WrestleMania 40, as his injury has robbed him of his dream to headline WWE's biggest annual event. During an interview with Caroline Pierce at UFC 298, Punk discussed his injury and said he's expecting to be out for maybe 6 to 8 months, but added that he's in no rush to compete. Punk is instead focused on getting healthy and getting better, 2 things that can't be rushed, and we are wishing him the best as he recovers from this setback. We're heading across the pond now as Revolution Pro Wrestling held their high-stakes event in London last night, and a 6-man scramble match would see a shocking extra entrant. Once all the entrants were in the ring, it was revealed that AEW International Champion Orange Cassidy would be competing, and this now 7-man scramble would be for his title. Cassidy fought some notable names, including Richard Holliday, NXT UK alum Shaw Samuels, and current TNA wrestling star Flash Morgan Webster, before retaining the gold. Orange Cassidy boasts the record for the most days as AEW International Champion, as well as the most title defenses of any AEW title, and now he has another number to that latter record. We'll have to wait and see whether Cassidy will end up appearing at another indie promotion in the future, as he certainly got a massive reaction from the UK crowd at Rev Pro High Stakes. At AEW Full Gear, it was confirmed that Will Ospreay had signed with the promotion, but the Billy Goat was allowed to finish his previously set dates before joining the company full-time. Earlier this month, Ospreay competed in his final match for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and at the Rev Pro High Stakes event, competed against Michael Oku in what would be his final indie match. During the bout, Tony Khan was spotted marking out and cheering enthusiastically for Will Ospreay in the VIP box with Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy by his side. After battling for 40 minutes, Oku was able to best Ospreay, submitting him with a leveraged half crab, retaining the Rev Pro Undisputed British Heavyweight Championship. After the bout, Ospreay addressed the audience and thanked Tony Khan for creating an alternative to WWE, which led to a "Thank you Tony" chant from the crowd that the AEW head relished in. Ospreay's next high-profile match will be against Konosuke Takeshita at AEW Revolution, and we'll have to see what the future holds for the British star now that he's officially All Elite. Last year, Rita Chatterton, the ex-WWE referee who is alleged for decades she was raped by Vince McMahon, was paid a multi-million-dollar amount, though McMahon never admitted wrongdoing. This past weekend, Chatterton surprised fans at a Dynasty Wrestling event in New York, as she was the show's special guest and served as a timekeeper for a match during the event. We'll likely never know how much Chatterton was paid by WWE, but it was a significant amount, and the first female ref in WWE history is hoping to put what allegedly happened finally in the past. Dynasty Wrestling garnered a lot of support for welcoming Chatterton as their special guest timekeeper for the show, but has also earned a ton of backlash for their other guest. As we previously reported, Patrick Clark made his return to wrestling at the event by interrupting the first match in his first appearance at any wrestling event since his May 2021 exit from WWE. Given the allegations against Clark, many were outraged at Dynasty Wrestling for featuring him, and on Twitter, Dynasty Wrestling said that they wanted to give Clark a second chance to live his dream. Many called out Dynasty for not promoting Clark, claiming they had to hide his involvement until after fans paid, as if they'd let fans know he'd be there, many wouldn't have gone. Tara Calloway, a former member of Dynasty's roster, spoke about being a victim of sexual assault and was disgusted by the promotion, saying it made clear that their locker room is not a safe place. Clark's involvement was certainly a surprise, but not necessarily a welcome one, and we'll have to see if the promotion uses him again, given the backlash we've seen. Speaking of former WWE superstars, Elias was released from the company last year and has since rebranded himself as Elijah, and this weekend competed in his first post-WWE contest. Elijah was at last night's Wrestling Revolver event, facing Speedball Mike Bailey in a singles match, and showed an impressive physique, making clear his dedicated gym routine. Unfortunately for Elijah, though, it was Bailey who got the win, and the unhappy former WWE 24/7 champion attacked Bailey after the match. Elijah proved to the world he is still worth keeping a watch on thanks to this match, and what do you expect for the former superstar now that he's outside WWE? Over to AEW, as Thunder Rosa has been with the company for some time now and has a women's world title reign to her name, but recently Rosa emerged in a different promotion. During CMLL's recent show, Tessa Blanchard and Lady Frost were scheduled to compete against Stephanie Vacker and Zusius for their CMLL Women's World Tag Team Championships. Just before the bout began, the promotion revealed that Thunder Rosa was in attendance to witness the show, and Rosa was introduced as a representative of AEW. This was the first time the former AEW Women's World Champion had made her appearance for the Mexican company, and this is another benefit of the international partnership between AEW and CMLL. After a 17-month absence due to injury, Rosa made her return to action with a win over Queen Amanada on AEW Collision last month, and will we see her wrestle in CMLL? Time will tell. As LA Knight made clear at a recent WWE Live event, he's not going to be facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, but what does WWE have in store for the megastar this April? While Knight is part of the upcoming Men's Elimination Chamber match, he is not a favorite to win a shot against Seth Rollins, but he could still challenge for a title in Philly after all. Sean Ross Sapp explained on the Fightful Select Backstage Q&A podcast that at one point there was a plan for Knight to challenge Logan Paul at WrestleMania for the United States title. With that said, it's unclear if this is still the plan, but if Knight does face Paul this April, it'll be one of the biggest matches of his career to date. WWE has one final main roster PLE before WrestleMania, so hopefully the card will become clear soon enough, and don't be surprised if Knight and Paul square off at the biggest show of the year. When it comes to AEW, the company boasts a massive roster of talent, but one of the drawbacks of this is that not everyone is guaranteed regular TV time. Nick Comoroto hasn't been seen on AEW television for quite some time now, as his last match with the company was in October of last year, with fans wondering where he's been. Fightful Select reports that Comoroto was backstage at a show in Norfolk last month, and that he is not injured, but his absence is simply down to being not used on TV. With AEW's roster being so expansive, it's no surprise someone like Nick Comoroto simply isn't being used at all, as he and many others fall through the cracks due to AEW's finite TV time. For some time now, the concept of Brock Lesnar versus Gunther has been a dream match for fans, and was reportedly in the works for WrestleMania 40 this April. That was before Lesnar was referenced in Janelle Grant's lawsuit against WWE and Vince McMahon, and the company has since pulled Lesnar from all creative plans. This has come as a setback to fans of both men, and during a recent interview with GV Wire, the reigning Intercontinental Champion discussed the dream match that may never be a reality. He said, "I was always vocal about my dream match in the past, but that fell through now. I don't know if we'll see Brock again if that's ever going to happen, but I'm wide open when it comes to that as of now." Lesnar hasn't just been pulled from WWE TV and creative plans, but he's also been removed from the WWE 2K24 WrestleMania Showcase cover art, as well as WWE's intro video that plays on TV. The future is looking far brighter for Gunther, who is closing in on the most collective days as Intercontinental Champion after breaking the record for the longest solo reign last year. Gunther's career is on the up, while Lesnar's may already be over. And while the Austrian is eager to face many superstars, the Beast isn't in the cards right now. For as menacing and dark as the Judgment Day are, R-Truth has remained his hilarious self when he appears in segments and has been able to cause some members to crack up on TV. Damian Priest has often been caught smirking when he shouldn't thanks to Truth, and Senior Money in the Bank is well aware of how Truth has got to him. When speaking to Inside the Ropes, Priest was asked about Truth getting close to causing him to crack and made clear he's gotten more than close. He said, "He hasn't gotten close to cracking me, I've been cracked. I'm open, I'm scrambled, he got me. It's unbelievable. I could go in and I know what he's gonna do. I know he's gonna try and do that. I know he's gonna try to break me and make me laugh, that's what he does. And no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you're expecting him to say something, it doesn't matter. You look at his face and his delivery, it's impossible to stay serious. Maybe some can keep a straight face, but I'm not one, and I'm usually pretty good at not laughing. I'm a pretty serious person, especially when I need to be, but that guy, he'll break anybody. I really do believe that. He's gotten to me a few times." While R-Truth's affiliation with the Judgment Day remains a subject of debate, his merchandise themed around the faction has seen massive success with fans. Recent attacks on Truth have indicated a shift in R-Truth's perception of his relationship with them, but one thing for sure is that the veteran will keep being hilarious whenever he's on TV. But what do you make of R-Truth and the Judgment Day? Do you think you'd be able to keep a straight face if you had a segment with him? Let us know in the comments. On this week's SmackDown, Logan Paul competed in his 10th match for WWE and his first on free TV when he defeated The Miz to qualify for the Men's Elimination Chamber match. The reigning WWE United States Champion once again showed an array of talent and in-ring awareness far past his years, but his finisher was met with mixed reviews. After delivering a devastating punch, Paul held the dazed Miz and flopped forward to get the pin, with some trying to suggest it was a kind of reverse skull-crushing finale. Many, though, were not impressed, with one fan suggesting he should have won with the frog splash we've seen Paul use, while another blasted it as the weakest finisher in wrestling. Whether you liked the finisher or not, Paul is going to Australia, and his involvement in this star-studded Elimination Chamber match only further shows WWE's immense faith in the Maverick. It was back at WWE Backlash Puerto Rico that Carlito returned to the company, and this weekend, the cool superstar competed in his first WWE live event match in over a decade. At the event in Oakland, California, Carlito defeated Austin Theory, thanks in part to Theory being distracted by R-Truth, and this was Carlito's first WWE live event match since March of 2010. A lot has changed in wrestling since that match, which saw himself and Chavo Guerrero lose to Christian and Yoshitatsu, and now Carlito is back and ready to take WWE by storm on and off TV. Now, it's safe to say that Matt Riddle didn't do himself any favors in WWE, as his attitude would rub a lot of people the wrong way, including top stars such as Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg. Between these issues, stints in rehab over drugs and general problems backstage, Riddle was released last year, and he's now addressed what Vince McMahon made of him. On the Sunday Night's Main Event podcast, Riddle recalled his first interaction with the man who'd be his boss for years and made clear his skills were serious even if he wasn't. He explained, "He thought I was goofy. If anything, the first time we met, he didn't like me because I was goofy. He was like, 'You're goofy.' And I'm like, 'Yeah, I'm goofy, but it's a good thing.' He's like, 'Being a goof isn't a good thing.' And I'm like, 'Well, I'm a goof that can kick your ass.' You could tell that didn't make him happy. And then Bruce Pritchard hopped in and was like, 'Hey Vince, he's pretty good at wrestling. Trust me.' Since being released, Riddle has appeared in multiple promotions, including New Japan, and will challenge World TV Champion Hiroshi Tanahashi later this week. Riddle may be goofy, but his legitimate fighting skills can't be denied, even if Vince McMahon is among those who hardly had a good impression of the original Bro when the two first met. But what do you make of this story? Do you think Riddle's goofiness ultimately hurt his WWE run? Let us know in the comments. During last week's AEW Rampage, Jeff Hardy faced Sammy Guevara in a no disqualification match, but things went horribly wrong when the Spanish God attempted a shooting star press. Guevara's feet ended up landing on Hardy's face, breaking his nose in the process, and those who were in attendance saw Matt Hardy's heated reaction to this situation after the match. When the episode was aired on live TV, this was cut out, which could be proof that this was an off-script moment, but Matt has made sure fans saw his anger over the botch. Matt took to Twitter to post a full clip of the moment, which showed him getting heated with Sammy Guevara before he and his brother flipped him off. This isn't the first Hardy-Guevara incident, as in 2020, Guevara laid Matt on top of a table before proceeding to pick up a steel chair and toss it straight at him, hitting him square in the face. This shot resulted in a lot of bleeding from Matt and a concussion, and this incident with Jeff will only raise questions as to Guevara's safety and level of training in the ring. On last week's Dynamite, Darby Allin took aim at the Young Bucks, saying that AEW used to have an EVP with brains and he wasn't talking about Kenny Omega, in a nod to Cody Rhodes. The fans even made that point clear by chanting for Cody, and while the fans may have been surprised by the reference to WWE's top face, those in AEW were not. As Fightful Select reports, the AEW creative team were told ahead of time by Allin that he intended to make reference to Cody, and it's clear that he was allowed to use the line. AEW's talents are allowed a significant amount of flexibility in their promos, as we saw last week, as Cody Rhodes may be gone from AEW, but he is clearly not forgotten. We've got some unfortunate news regarding El Hijo del Vikingo right now, whose match at the Lopez Mateos Arena this past week was cut short due to an injury. It was confirmed by Mas Lucha that Vikingo suffered an unfortunate injury to his right knee, which is believed to be a ligament rupture, and this isn't his first injury. It was just a few months ago that Vikingo suffered a hip injury at a Ring of Honor show and was seen having to use a wheelchair after the match, so another injury is the last thing he needs. On Twitter, Mas Lucha shared some photos of Vikingo with his right knee bandaged up, and we'll hopefully have an update on the AAA Mega Champion in due time. It was in 2012 that Damien Sandow vowed to educate the unwashed masses of the WWE Universe, but after a unique run that saw him be a heel and a face, he was let go in 2016. Now Sandow works under his real name Aaron Stevens in the NWA, and on a recent edition of the Insight podcast, he recalled the difficult 18 months after being let go. He said, "When I left WWE, I was really not in a good place. I had let myself down and, at the very least, let myself down. I couldn't look in the mirror for like 18 months. Bottom line, I shaved with the lights down because it was just like this weird thing I was going through. But then eventually, like with anything, it came to a point where I said, alright, I'm the same guy who wrestled the invisible freaking man, John Cena, and made it work. What is wrong with me?" Sandow then gave a piece of advice that he uses to motivate himself during tough times, stating, "Whoever we are at our best, I think we need to kind of hold on to that when we're at our worst, because that just reminds us of what we're capable of." Sandow had to make peace with the fact that wrestling was a part of his identity in WWE, and after coming to terms with this, has had a positive experience in the NWA since joining in 2019. In the NWA, the former superstar now works as a manager, but what are your favorite Damian Sandow moments from WWE? Sound off in the comments. And we're ending today with Montez Ford, who, as we said earlier, was present at UFC 298 with his wife Bianca Belair, and the show clearly had a profound effect on the former tag team champion. While speaking to TNT Sports, Montez Ford was asked if he has UFC aspirations and made it clear that he's been considering stepping into the octagon for some time. He stated, 100% I'll say, I've always been a fan of it, always been training for it. It is something I was talking about in the last 2 years about actually going over and having a match, seeing CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, and Bobby Lashley doing different promotions, something I had interest in, but got shut down pretty quickly by, If Ford was to try his hand in UFC, he wouldn't be the first superstar to enter the world of MMA, with Brock Lesnar, Batista, and Bobby Lashley all trying MMA after making a name in WWE. It remains to be seen whether Ford will actually be able to compete in UFC one day, but given the merger of WWE and UFC under TKO's umbrella, the possibility is certainly there. Do you want to see Montez Ford competing in the UFC? Will you feel he has any chance in a fight? Sound off in the comments section below.